How's it going, guys? Doc here, and behind me is my 1997 Chevy Astro van. Now you may be wondering, why in the world do you have a Chevy Astro van? And if you don't know me, that's a good question. If you do know me, well, you know why I have it. The long story short is that I bought this van to create the ultimate taxi for the Neebs Gaming Live events by replicating the van that Astro uses in their GTA series, which, if you know, is based after a Chevy Astro. Now, it is the earlier generation of Astro, but I went with the second gen, one, because it was cheap, and two, because, well, slightly better amenities. So you see, this van I bought probably 2 hours north of where I live, and it ran and drove. It just needed brakes badly. All the brake lines were bad. So long story short on that too, I bought the van for what I assumed was a good value because it had decent miles on it. The body's in decent enough shape. It wasn't rotted out. And towed it home. Put brakes in it. Well, brake lines. Drove it around the block a few times. Ran fantastic. Stopped good. So perfect. This will be the perfect bones to build the Astro van off of. Then I started the drive home. And on the way there, it blew up. And I was being followed by my buddy who's a big GM nerd, and we were messaging each other on Discord, and I said, hey, this van is losing PSI. It went from 55 down to like 25 going on the highway, and he replied, well, GMs only need, 2,000, it's like every 2,000 RPM is 8 PSI or 1,000 RPM, something like that. I'm actually just going to put the text on the screen. We had a quite humorous moment with this because I said, it'll be fine. It's a 4.3. Then a couple hours later, he replied to my text. Turns out it was not fine. And unfortunately, on the way home, it overheated and the temp gauge didn't work in this, and I didn't know that. It was reading normal, but it was also filled full of water and not coolant. Coolant is a glycol mix, obviously, and if you've ever smelled coolant, it used to smell sweet. They now make it smell bitter, and when it's burning, you can tell. Well, because it was just straight water, I had no idea of knowing. It was just spewing out, even though I had the windows open and everything, cruising down the highway because the AC didn't work. I just didn't smell anything, unfortunately. So it overheated on me. I got it up to melt the block temperatures, and it wiped the bottom end out. So I sat on it for a little while. It kind of pissed me off. Part of me wanted to give up on the project, but back of my mind didn't like that idea. I don't give up on vehicles very often, and usually if I do, it's because they're just too far gone rust-wise for me to deal with. I'm not a body guy. I can't deal with rust much. But mechanicals, I do. I do that a lot. I have a F-150 to my left that's getting the entire engine replaced and pulled out, and I'm hot rodding the truck. So why would I give up on this? And I decided the best course of action was to get rid of this old, lousy slouch of a 4.3 liter V6 and put a V8 in it. One, because I intend on keeping this van for a while. If I'm going to do work to it, I'm going to enjoy it. Two, well, you can swap an LS in, and I can use a 4.8, a 5.3, or a 6 liter LS. They're GM products. Everyone swaps them into everything, so getting harnesses for them is easy. It's one of those things. But on top of that, I actually have the hookup to get a low mileage 5.3 Suburban. It's literally just a shell that has the motor and harness still in it. It used to be my mother's SUV, and it got parked years ago and parted out. But we still have the shell and the motor and wiring harness. So I'm going to take that off my dad's hands, and we're going to cram that 5.3 into this. So that's what this series is going to be about, is turning this van from this dirty, kind of nasty, smelly, old van that was used by a family for years and years and years into the ultimate Astro van replica. So come along for the journey. So back here, I finally got this hatch open. everything online pretty much was showing this panel, you just pop it out. You take bolt, bolt, screw, screw. Well, mine had an extra screw here. As you can see, I almost broke it because I couldn't see that the way that these are in here. Well, these also have screws because I thought maybe I can just take these panels out. That'll help get in. Regardless, what I was able to do was peel that back enough to get to the latch mechanism for this. Well, if you notice, there's a lot of play here. So this little rod, what it's supposed to do, and I'll show it, is when you hit on the key, it says rear press twice. See how it grabs it? Well, the problem is where, as you can see, there's a little bit of space in there. The problem is that little bit of space, when this is closed, it doesn't have enough pull to actually grab the latch and unlatch this hatch. So the doors weren't the problem. That's what I thought it was originally. It's actually just this lip up here. So what I'm going to look into now is how to either adjust this, or if I need to get another one, that way this hatch will work, thus making the back end of the van actually usable. So guess what? Chicken butt. So I did some off-camera work here because I'm just going to be honest with you. In no way, shape, or form was I going to try to get you in here while I was laid on my side on the ground, beating the latch with a hammer to the left side Dutch door here, because that's what I had to do to get this thing freed up. But on that, guess what? Now the hatch works like it's supposed to. I had this issue from the day that I bought it. The guy told me that the rear hatch didn't work. And as you can see, I still have this door panel off over here, and there's one good reason for that. And that is simply because this side, what I found out, and I'm pretty sure it's the reason why none of this worked properly, is I finally got this hatch open, and I noticed these two doors were loose already. So what it is the right side Dutch door latches to the left side Dutch door. And I'm pretty sure what it was, so this left side Dutch door was unlatched. It wasn't actually grabbing the little bar that it's supposed to hold on to. And I've realized after thinking about it while I was beating it with a hammer that I think what it was is that this wasn't latching all the way. So it was partially open, but they were closing this door, which was latching it, and then they slammed this closed, and it bound everything up. As you can, as I showed in the video before, it's an electronic bar that pulls back to open this hatch. Well, it only has so much force for being plastic gears and electric. So I think what happened is that was bound up too tight because these were pushing out. So now that that is done, I can close and open this the way that it's supposed to, and every time I do, it gets a little bit better. But now I can close it like it's supposed to be closed. Voila, it works. Now, I did find a mouse nest in the bottom of this Dutch door, so I'm probably going to take the door panel off of this side too. The problem is, those are in the van. I will show that. The way that this door panel sits on is it's basically these little, here. So these, they're called Christmas tree clips. I think some people like to call them that. I've always called them that. I don't know if they have another name, but I'm going to pretend I know. They're just glued to this basically particle board, door panel, and I actually lost, this one broke off and this one broke off because as I was trying to get my tool in here, these are just so brittle that they just break. And so that happened, and I can fix it, but we're talking about a 1997 Chevrolet Astro van. I don't know if I want to keep risking plastics in this because let's be honest, finding them in good shape and not breaking the used ones at a junkyard is also going to be an issue. So for now, I think I'm probably not going to bother with that. I might try to pry the bottom out a little bit so I can look inside. But otherwise, this is fixed at least. Oh, yeah, there's rust. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that. All right, so I think that's going to be the end of this first episode. And actually, I'll be honest with you, this is probably a month later after the last clip that I showed. And I haven't really done too much more to the van. I've been more logistical side of getting this thing ready. And part of that was I have officially procured the body with the motor in it to swap this. So I'm going to be honest, this is going to be kind of a slow moving project. It is going to be at the NGL, the Neebs Gaming Live, that comes up this fall. It's just going to be cutting it close. And every episode from here on out is going to be a little more, we'll be honest, a little more enticing to watch, because we're going to do an entire episode on getting into the engine, getting this one out. And then it'll probably be an entire episode of actually putting the motor in. And then there's going to be an episode all about all the body work we have to do and getting everything, procuring the stuff to make it look like the van. And then there'll probably be an episode on the interior and getting it all detailed. So from here on out, it's going to get a lot better. The meat and potatoes is actually the fun part. What you're watching is an introduction. It's the salad of the series, and it's not going to be as fun. But this is an actual shop that I work in, so this doesn't get, I can't put 100% of my efforts into this. There's actually something staring me down right now that, yeah, don't address him. Anyway, that matters a whole lot more to me, because that makes me the most money in this shop. This will get done. It's just not going to be this massive, like, documentary. It's not like watching a TV show on on like counting cars or whatever, any of those old car TV shows. We're not on a, oh, get it done in 2 weeks. I'm not doing that. Not happening. So yeah, we'll pick this back up, and I appreciate you for watching this first episode if you did. And from here on out, tag along as we get into the fun bits.